YouTubers, this is your boy Mario Coins here. Today I'm doing my movie review on Central Intelligence, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart. Hang on. Yeah, I just had to fix my camera, I'm sorry. Starring Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And what can I tell you about this movie? It was pretty good, but it's not so much. They could they could have added more comedy to this movie instead of a little bit of action, a little bit more action. Because when I first saw this trailer, I thought it was going to be really funny, but in the end, there there were a few funny parts, and I was kind of disappointed. That the acting, their acting and the filmography. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Was pretty alright, but not so good. I want They could have added like Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson could have added more to their character, they they didn't, which I think that they should have, because it would have made the movie a lot more funny in a lot of ways. Because basically they needed to add they need to add a whole lot more to this movie than they should. They need to add a whole lot more to this movie, because I think a lot of people who went to go see this movie were probably disappointed in some ways, because because they they didn't understand how the movie was going to play out. And what I think I think they could have I my way of the way I wanted to see this movie is how they could have done the acting more better. They could have added like a few more comedy scenes to this movie instead of just more action and a lot more action and all that, because this is a comedy movie along with an action movie. But at the same time, this movie should have added like more comedy background instead of action scenes and all that. What I what I really want to see what I really want to see in what I really wanted to see in this movie is basically how is basically a lot more comedy and a lot. I know I say comedy a lot of times, but what I really wanted to see in this movie is basically how it's basically well how they actually how sorry, I can't talk today. What I really wanted to see in this movie is basically more comedy and less action in it, because this was supposed to be this is was supposed to be a comedy movie. And when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be really funny, but when I actually saw it, it kind of wasn't. It kind of really wasn't all that good, to be honest. But all in all, this movie is practically amazing. It's really awesome in so many ways, but not not that awesome. Here's are my likes and dislikes about the movie. My likes are The Rock and Kevin Hart's chemistry in this movie. You see the you see them reunite. You actually see them, like most of you saw the trailer. You see them reunite after 20 years later, and basically basically they get to have like they do some crazy stuff like you always know how they do. They always Every time Dwayne and Kevin Hart do a movie, you already know you're gonna be laughing. And also during the filming, if you haven't seen like their Twitters and all that, you see a lot of Instagram videos during the making of their movies, during the making of this movie, and they be joking around and all that. And I already know that they have they have pretty good amazing chemistry, especially during like during when they were making this movie, which I actually think is a good thing because we need to see more. We need to see more actual buddy movies like Dwayne what Dwayne and Kevin Hart did in this movie. We don't see much of that in we don't see that much of it in movies anymore, but I think we should. I think we should, and I'm hoping like they make a sequel. Sorry, I hope they make a sequel to Central Intelligence and make it more funnier as well, because the first this movie wasn't all that funny to be honest, and also the outtakes at the end were hilarious. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but I think once you once you see the outtakes at the end, you'll be cracking up and honestly probably have to go probably have to pee your pants a lot in it once you're done seeing the movie. Believe me, I was laughing my butt off when I saw the outtakes, and the there was also the bullying stance in this movie was kind of confusing but very understandable because I know we all been there. We all been bullied a lot. We all been bullied a lot when we were probably kids and teenagers. Which basically, believe me, I've been bullied a lot when I was a kid. But they did send a really good message about bullying in this movie. To stand up for yourself and face the bully, no matter what they say about you. And there was pretty much an obvious twist in this movie, but it was kind of it was kind of confusing, but very understandable. I actually think that well, was this movie could have actually made it more kind of like conf- more like mysterious and all that in so many ways actually because if they actually made it a little bit more confusing, that would have left the fans pretty questionable about the movie as well. And and also the movie wasn't all that terribly not terribly funny, but it was pretty it was an okay funny. It was an okay funny, but it was an okay funny, and that's what matters. But as long as you get a good laugh out of like seeing Kevin Hart and Dwayne the Rock Johnson together, you already know you're gonna have a good laugh. Basically, when you see them do a movie together, you already know you're gonna just be laughing your ass off. Excuse my language. I know there are a lot of young adults probably watching this movie review, so I apologize for the harsh language. And I hope, well, the movie kind of failed in both humor and the story, but it kind of made sense in some ways about how to stand up to a bully and all that after you do get bullied. But all in all, I think this movie should have made it should have made more sense in some ways because I think the people who probably spent their money to see this should well probably probably didn't understand how to make sense of it. And on to the rating. Sorry if this is taking me a while. Um, I give Central Intelligence a C because basically it was okay. It was okay, but not that okay. I want them to actually make more sense of the movie instead of just I don't know, probably making it not understandable in some ways. But I'm hoping in the next sequel, if there's ever a sequel, I'm hoping they actually do more with it instead of just uh I hope they bring more comedy and all that instead of just I don't know, making it more and more confusing more confusing and not very understandable for the fans, and and understanding how, and that's basically that's basically it. I just want them to make it more understandable and more funny instead of more funny and less action in it. Uh, I want them to make sure that the fans that see the movie make it actually more understandable. Make it more understandable for the fans. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't talk today, but I think that's the end of my movie review. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe with everyone you know. And I'm planning on doing my next movie review on and Finding Dory really soon. And that's basic. And I'm sorry, I can't speak today. And well, that's basically it. But I hope you do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this movie review and everything. Okay, bye and God bless. Peace.